Today on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat, Rick Weinstein goes all in on the restoration of a classic 25-foot Hydra-Sports.
This is your Hydra-Sport.
25 Hydra-Sport, man. That's what we talked about.
Florida Sportsman boating editor Dave East heads out on a 25-foot Contender, custom built for hardcore freediving and spearfishing.
What you did with the boat, I love it. You didn't go over the top, but you didn't need to. You made this boat your own.
And Brian O'Donnell, owner of Marine Customs Unlimited, aims to make a quick flip out of a boat seemingly beyond repair.
Gonna update this boat, bring it a little more modern, so I can pull more profit out of it.
All coming up on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Looking to get back out on the water in sunny South Florida, Rick Weinstein introduces us to the start of his 25-foot Hydra-Sports Dreamboat build.
My name's Rick Weinstein. I'm a native of South Florida, actually born in Miami Beach, and I now live in Davie. I have twin boys, Gabriel and Zachary. They're 14 years old. And growing up, I never had a boat. So I want to be able to get my kids out on the water to enjoy everything South Florida has to offer. So when I'm considering a boat, I guess the first thing and the most important thing is that it floats and it runs. So it can get me to point A and point B safely. But I have a lot of needs that I need to accomplish with my boat. I'm not an angler, I like to fish. I've never caught a sailfish. My kids, on one of their birthdays, we actually went out and did some deep sea fishing. So I want to be able to get out to the first, second shipping lane. I want to be able to run to the Bahamas. But I also want to be able to water ski or wakeboard or surf behind the boat. I want to get my kids certified in diving. I've been certified for over 30 years now. So there's a lot of different things that I want to be able to expose my kids to. And I've been seriously inquiring, trying to figure out the boat that I want. And I came across a proven classic hull, 1990 Hydra-Sport Kevlar hull. I like the lines, it's proven. I never saw myself getting in any type of project, but I'm gonna be able to get what I want and the economics. I think I'm gonna be able to save a lot of money by basically building a boat that will fit my family, my kids and I. So when I'm looking at the hull, I'm like, I'm not a professional, obviously, and what jumps out at me is first, it's gonna need new power. The paint looks terrible. Can I buff that out? I don't know. Started doing my research. I ended up speaking to a gentleman who's an hour from my house in Stewart. His name is Brian with MCU. And he said he would take care of it. He's arranged to have people take a test ride, and he'll give it a twice over, and then we'll get together and see what his thoughts are.
I got a call from Brian at MCU. He wanted me to go test run a boat for him for a potential client. 25-foot Hydra-Sports. He just wanted our assessment of it to see if the boat was really worth putting that kind of money into for a restoration project. So I called Dan McCarthy. He's a friend of mine. He's got a lot of boat building knowledge. We took the boat out, and really we were kind of surprised. For a boat of this age and this condition, it was really solid. It had good bones, and what I mean by that is the console was in place, it wasn't wiggling. More importantly, the transom was solid. A lot of old boats that you look at, the transom's rotted out, and that's just a ton of money. So we took the boat out. The wiring wasn't that great, the bilges are dirty, and the motor, I don't know. I mean, the motor was okay, but as far as the boat itself, it was a good, solid foundation to be a good project boat. So we're gonna get back with Rick, let him know what we found, and hopefully he'll make a good buying decision.
So I got good news. I got a call from Brian. And Brian's saying, Rick, this boat has a lot of potential and it's not in that bad a shape. So Brian and I have a lot to talk about. And I'm thinking, what value does the old engine have, the T-top? I mean, there's so many different things on that boat that I don't want. And Brian, in his conversation, he was very, very specific when he said this to me. He goes, Rick, no cash, no splash. So he says, look, there's some value in this boat. We can help you get rid of these things. But Brian and I got a lot to talk about, and I'm pretty excited to talk to him to get an idea of what our costs are going to be and what he really thinks needs to be done to this boat.
Rick, Brian O'Donnell.
What's going on? Rick Weinstein, how are you, man?
Nice to meet you, buddy. All right, this is your Hydra-Sport.
25 Hydra-Sport, man. That's what we talked about.
So the Hydra-Sport, it's a boat in very much need of attention. I don't think Rick had a clue on how much it needed. And after meeting him and realizing how he wants the boat to be, and he's looking for that new boat appeal and that feel, he's gonna have to invest a little more money than I think he was expecting.
Don't go away. We'll be right back with more Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. This segment brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here.
At Yamaha, reliability is a family tradition. Meet the next generation. 4 new advanced technology-inspired inline 4-cylinder performers. Bred from the reliability and boater satisfaction that is part of Yamaha's DNA. They prove that when power gets lighter, faster, stronger, and smarter, boating gets even better. And more satisfying for boaters like you.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Ready to start the transformation of his recently purchased 25-foot Hydra-Sports, Rick Weinstein meets up with Brian O'Donnell at Marine Customs Unlimited to discuss the details of the project.
Priorities, what are the things that I have to do? Gas tank?
Fuel tank right away.
Okay, so that's...
And then we gotta start prepping the boat for paint.
Okay.
So I need to know what color we're gonna paint the boat. And then we could start building things off of that.
All right, so have to do things that I can't go without in terms of safety, functionality, long-term.
Fuel tank's number 1.
Okay, what else?
Really just the structural integrity of the miscellaneous parts of the boat, where the bulkheads are and things like that. And I'll inspect all that when the tank gets pulled out of the boat.
Right.
After that, it's gonna be color of the boat. Let's paint the boat. Then when we paint the boat, what are we putting on the boat for rigging and accessories and stuff like that? So this boat's been stripped of all its old hardware. Do you have that, or you're gonna wanna use the old stuff, or you're gonna wanna put new stuff?
I would say put new stuff on.
Okay.
But I'm not a tournament fisherman, so I don't need, you know, different outrigger holes. I mean, I just need,
No,
this is enough
I understand.
holes, right?
That's fine. But like I said, you're like, what's more important? There's areas in here where the core is rotted away, so it's gonna have to be replaced
But
or
that
repaired.
that's something.
It's gotta be repaired.
Yeah.
You know, those are structural things that have to happen before the paint job.
Absolutely.
So those things have to be handled, taken care of, and all put together. Once that's all done, the boat's painted. Now you start putting the boat together. Now we're putting the boat together. We're still on the fence of the 2 motors versus the 1 motor. I know you want to ski with the boat. You want to run the boat. The boat came from the factory with a single on it. The motors that they give you now at more low-end torque have got more power than they did in the past. Those are things that you got to put in your head and you got to think about. You're putting this boat together, you're investing this money for long-term future and everything. You got to make sure you're making it work for everything you want it for.
That's why I'm coming to you, bro. You're the expert.
All right, so first things first, we're gonna get the fuel tank out of the 25 Hydra-Sport. To get to the tank, we've got to remove the deck. Part of the deck, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some rotten spots in there that I felt when I was up inside the boat with Rick. I'm gonna have Roberto take a look at the structural integrity of the whole boat.
To gain access to the deck above the fuel tank, the console must be unscrewed and moved forward. Once the deck is lifted out of place, the tank is inspected, revealing corrosion and years of abuse from the saltwater environment. In dire need of replacement, the hoses are cut, fuel sender removed, and an electric pump is used to transfer the remaining fuel into another tank. Now much lighter, the tank can now be removed from the boat. With the deck in the fiberglass shop, it's time to find and replace any rotten wood. First, a razor blade is used to remove the caulking around the edges of the deck. To gain access to the wood core, the edge band of the deck is cut with a grinder. The top layer of fiberglass skin is then peeled back, revealing the rotten and moldy wood underneath. The rotten wood is scraped out, and the deck prepped for a new layer of core material.
So now we're down to the factory original piece of fiberglass with the gel coat, without any core. Roberto and the guys did a great job grinding it down, smoothing it out. We're gonna bond in the new piece of core to the deck with a process called infusion.
To start the infusion process, A thick resin putty is mixed and used to bond the new wood core down inside of the fiberglass. A piece of plastic is pulled over the new wood core and secured tightly. A vacuum is then attached, applying pressure evenly across the deck and pulling the resin through the new plywood core. Once the vacuum bagging process is complete, the plywood is sanded to a smooth finish. Finally, a layer of fiberglass is added to seal in the new core. This process gives the new core protection from the elements, the resin inside of the wood keeping water out and ensuring the deck will last the lifetime of the boat. When we come back, FS boating editor Dave East hops on board with Niels Gregory to discuss the build of his custom 25-foot Contender. This segment brought to you by Garmin. Fight your fish, not your fish finder.
And optics, I mean, the thing that I think Garmin's gonna give me a huge advantage of is actually seeing things real time. What I see in my screen is what I'm casting at. What we always do with traditional sonar is we're looking straight down. And so basically then, as we move forward, we're seeing what's in the past. Well, now, actually what you're looking at is what you can throw at and fish. I think it's even gonna get better. I mean, they're making a push forward in the marine bass fishing world that's really second to none.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us during this one man's Dreamboat ride-along, where we feature boats and their owners whose dreams have already become reality. Today, Florida Sportsman boating editor Dave East hops on board with Niels Gregory to discuss the build of his 25-foot Contender built at Marine Customs Unlimited, designed around dreams of free diving and spearfishing in the Bahamas.
Niels, thank you so much for having me on your boat today. We do so much around fishing boats. It's really, really nice to finally take a dive boat out. A little bit change of pace and lets me look at a different perspective than just all fishing. But tell me a little bit more why you chose this boat, the modifications that you made to fit your lifestyle, which is obviously diving over fishing.
I guess the first choice we made was boat length. We're trying to find a boat that was big enough to go across the Gulf Stream and go through rough seas, but small enough that we can rip around the Bahamas and run through shallow water and not have any problems. And then finding a reliable, proven hull, something with a lot of storage space, fish boxes, and you know the bolt-on transom is key for us to be able to get in and out of the boat quick and easily. And the 25 Contender just really met everything we were looking for.
Now this is what, a 95 model?
Yeah, 1995, and it's got 1996 Yamaha 200s, all two-strokes, you know, and they're just proven and reliable, and they've been great for us.
Well, I was amazed how well this boat rode out there today, because it wasn't really rough, but it was bumpy, you know, and the boat did really well. It was nice and dry, but the console placement you had talked about earlier, it really showed in how having that console further back lets the boat carry its nose a little bit better, and it made for a great ride. When you first bought the boat to where it is now, kind of take me through all the stuff that you've done to it to make it yours.
Well, initially, I guess cosmetically was condition. You know, the boat hadn't been touched since '95, and I bought it in 2010. So, and then that's kind of where we got into everything. We started doing some paint work, and then we said, oh, well, let's add a fuel tank, add 40 more gallons of fuel. So we ended up ripping that open, and then that turned into replacing the whole fuel tank, just since we're there anyway. Did that, and then on the electronics, we redid all the electronics, try to simplify and clean up the dash. Like I said, sometimes we run through larger seas and get some water spray, so we try to put any electronics in a console. VHF, we don't like any wires, you know, no mics hanging anywhere, so all that's inside the top console. We've got an exterior mic. All the electronics are flush mounted, cleaned up. The switch panel that normally Contender used to put by your knees, we moved that up above the steering helm, so your knees aren't bumping the switches. And then, you know, the upholstery and paint.
So you pretty much took a stock boat and just did a few little things, other than obviously your fuel tank mod, which is actually, I guess, your biggest mod that you did on the boat. So you don't really have to, a Dreamboat doesn't have to be a boat that you completely rip apart, and new stringers, and new transom, and everything. You can take a pretty much stock boat, just change a few things on it to match your lifestyle, and still end up with your Dreamboat.
Yeah, and that's really what it was for us. You know, the boat offered everything, and we just tweaked a few things to add, you know, and while we had it open, added a couple extra things to make it what we wanted.
You've kept the fish boxes in the front. added 40 gallons of fuel in the floor. It gives you what, a total of how many
200 gallons.
200. So
yeah.
You run from Florida to the Bahamas and back a lot.
All day long.
That's important to have the fuel capacity.
Yeah, and I mean, even with these older two-strokes, you know, the old 25 Contender typically will run with a 250, a single. Well, this one I was looking for a boat with twins, so I've got a little more reliability. I know they're older, but if something happens, I've got one more motor to work on. And we're getting 1.8 miles per gallon on these two-strokes. So 200 gallons, I've got I can run all over the Bahamas.
Well, some of the stuff I could see the large boxes in the front for fish. Obviously, the console moved further back. Having that nice platform on the back made it so much easier to get out of the water. That way you didn't have to fumble with the dive ladder. It's low enough in the water, a kick, and you're up inside the boat. And you just flip over into the boat. It's much easier than having to deploy a dive ladder, take your fins off, hang your gear up.
No, the bracket's been great. You also get a little more buoyancy having that bracket, having the two motors. So you're going to get a little more buoyancy on the stern of the boat, and just being able to slide in and out when spearfishing, get in, get out. You know, every time you get in, if the visibility isn't any good, you want to jump out and get going to the next spot. So it saves on the whole headache of putting a ladder out and that whole setup, and cuts down on your setup time and gets you a little more time in the water.
Well, too, with your console being a little further aft on this boat than what you find today on center consoles, having that bracket on the back and keeping the engines out of the cockpit of the boat gives you a lot more room back there.
Plenty of room back there, and then I love how it just opens the whole bow up for you.
Well, I know the conditions today, I know you're spoiled. You've been in the Bahamas and born and raised there and stuff like that. Our conditions here weren't quite what you would normally find in the Bahamas. We didn't have the clarity, but the boat still performed well. At least we were able to get in the water. That little tiny wreck that was down there, you saw some snook on it. So at least we were able to get in the water and show the function of the boat, but I know it's not what you're used to over that clear water.
Well, any day on the water is better than any day at work. So, I mean, I had a great time, and the boat always runs well. And, as you saw, it's never let me down. We did find a little wreck, which was a lot of fun. We saw some fish. Visibility wasn't so great, but, the sun's out, wind's blowing. It's a beautiful day.
Thank you so much. I really had a lot of fun, and I appreciate it. And what you did with the boat, I love it. You didn't go over the top, but you didn't need to. You made this boat your own.
Well, thanks so much. It was great having you on board and a good day on the water.
With an initial purchase price of $20,000 and $25,000 in custom modifications at MCU, the cost of Neil's Dreamboat comes to a total of $45,000. When we return, the crew at MCU takes on fixing a boat destined for the scrapyard. This segment brought to you by Birdsall Marine Design, quality marine and sport fishing products.
Birdsall Marine Design has been a leader in aftermarket and custom boating accessories for over 35 years. Based in West Palm Beach, our facility specializes in the manufacturing of custom T-tops, leaning posts, consoles, rod holders, marine canvas and upholstery products, and a wide variety of anodized aluminum hardware. Come visit our spacious West Palm Beach facility anytime, or visit us on the web at birdsallmarine.com to learn more about our most innovative products.
Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. No project too big. The fiberglass specialists begin the resurrection of a boat with extensive structural damage.
All right, so we've got a 25 Sea Hunt in the back of the glass shop right at the moment. It came in here on an insurance repair. The customer hit a piling underway. Believe it or not, it happens more often than not. So he gets a big insurance check. He's looking at his boat, he's looking at his check, and he's like, man, Brian, I'm gonna make you a deal you can't refuse. So we negotiated something where I'm ending up with the boat. I'm gonna fix this thing. We're gonna make it better than it was before he smashed it, and we're gonna sell it for a profit. So the guys are in the back now on the 25 Sea Hunt, and they're glassing the bottom, they're wrapping up the side of the hull. The hull had a lot of delamination. We had to grind out all the gel coat. We're moving up into the cap rail. That actual section of cap of the boat is down in the bottom of the intercoastal. When it broke and hit the piling, it fell off. We don't have it. So we need to shape that back. We're gonna put in a piece of shaping foam, and we're gonna glass over the top, build a little mini mold, and then pull a part off of that so we can build that section of boat back and make it like new again. It's really crucial we get that right. Your rub rail runs right along there, you gotta have perfect straight lines. As soon as we know we have that lined up and everything's done and shaped, then we can move on to glassing it.
Before the new cap section can be made, it must be shaped using foam. First, the damaged section of the cap must be grinded back to an area of fiberglass with no damage or stress cracks, squaring the edges off cleanly. In order to obtain a perfect curvature for the foam, a piece of cardboard is templated, cut, and glued into place on the outer edge of the hull. Then, using wood sticks, a template is made of the inner shape of the damaged area. These wood pieces are connected together with hot glue and then removed from the boat. This wood template is laid and traced onto a piece of foam, which is then cut with a handsaw. Once cut and sanded smooth, it's test fitted in the boat. Now the outer edge of the hull must be traced onto the foam so it can be cut to size. Once the foam has obtained its new shape, another piece of foam is added to match the thickness of the cap. With the foam almost in its final shape, a piece of paper is used to trace the curvature of the non-damaged side of the hull. Then, the foam is shaved and sanded down to the perfect curve. With the foam piece finally completed, it's time to begin making the final cap section. A piece of fiberglass is cut to match the shape of the foam and laid over top. Resin is poured onto the glass and rolled thin. An additional layer of fiberglass is added and rolled free of air bubbles. Wood pieces are temporarily glassed into place, so the fiberglass does not flex when the foam is removed from underneath. The new fiberglass section is built up to match the thickness of the cap, making it strong and secure. After the new cap section is dry, it's laid into place and test fitted. Once squared up, a thick resin putty is used to sandwich the new piece into its final resting place. It's then temporarily screwed down tight, and putty is also applied to the gaps for a permanent bond. Once complete, the boat is ready to be sent over to the body shop for fairing and eventually fresh paint.
All right, guys, so we have the 25 Sea Hunt coming out of the fiberglass shop. We're gonna go into the spray booth and prep it for paint. We've got to fair the top cap, do a gel coat blend. As soon as that's done, me and Vic are gonna pick an upholstery design. I think I have a real good idea where I wanna go with it because I've been seeing a lot of it on some of the newer boats, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking to update this boat, bring it a little more modern so I can pull more profit out of it. I know the color of the hull is gonna have to change. I think we're gonna go with a nice blue. It's gonna look really nice with a two-tone upholstery.
Next time on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. The crew at Marine Customs Unlimited moves forward on the 25-foot Hydra-Sports build, and Dave meets with Michael and Angelo Trulio to discuss their one-off flats fishing Dreamboat. Also, the finishing touches are put on the Sea Hunt. Will she be seaworthy once again? Find out next time on Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat.
This is the 25 Hydra.
I thought he was younger than he actually is, which is good because he's in good shape.
And that's it. And that's a wrap.
Each month, turn to Florida Sportsman for the best in boating and fishing coverage.